How's it going, YouTube? My name is Matt Modi. My full-time job is as a content producer and betting analyst for OddsJam.com. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about positive expected value betting when it comes to sports betting. I'm going to answer the question of what is positive expected value betting and why it's such a powerful betting tool. I recently learned about positive expected value betting specifically through OddsJam about a year and a half ago in September of 2021. I'm recording this in February of 2023. So it's been about a year and a half, and it has been an incredibly profitable journey for me since I started using OddsJam. I've posted a screenshot here from my OddsJam bet tracker, syncs directly with the sportsbooks, showing you that I've profited roughly 25K since I started using OddsJam, again, about a year and a half ago. All of my profits have come from positive expected value betting and using OddsJam to profit, using OddsJam to place mathematically profitable bets that have an edge over the sportsbook that you place the bet with. So I am going to be detailing that a ton. So would appreciate it for everybody to watch the video in full. Make sure that you are listening and learning about positive expected value betting. Before I get into it, I would appreciate it if you could like the YouTube channel Jedi Modi Sports Betting. Jedi Modi is me, just a little bit of a shout out to Star Wars. Have my own separate YouTube channel outside of the main OddsJam one, and would appreciate it if you could give me a subscription. Turn those notifications on so you get notified whenever I drop a new video. And then, of course, if you want, you can find me on the social media platforms at Jedi Modi, as you see on the screen here. So let's chat about positive expected value betting. Now, it's going to sound like a mouthful, but I'm going to give you the exact definition of positive expected value betting. It is when you place a bet that you know as the sports bettor has a higher probability of occurring than the reflected odds of the sportsbook that is offering the bet. Again, let me repeat that. You, as the sports bettor, are placing a bet that you know is going to hit at a higher probability than the reflected odds of the sportsbook that is offering the bet. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, so I'm going to break it down first, talking about a coin flip example. As simple as that, just talking about a coin flip. So, you and your buddy, you're flipping a coin and you're placing bets on it. Everybody knows when you flip a coin, there is a 50-50 outcome, right? 50% chance it lands on heads, 50% chance it lands on tails. It's pretty easy. But let's pretend that you know, as the sports bettor, that the coin is actually weighted towards heads. It's not a normal coin. It's a weighted coin. And it's going to land on heads 55% of the time instead of 50%. So the new probabilities are 55% towards heads, 45% towards tails. I know that. You know that. The buddy you're flipping the coin with, they don't know that. They think it's still 50-50. So when you're placing bets, when you're placing odds on is it going to land on heads or tails, you are getting 50-50 odds, which in sports betting lingo is plus 100, but you know it's going to hit at a 55% rate. So when you're placing that bet, you are going to place the bet on heads every single time. Every single time. Now, 45% of the time, you are going to be frustrated. You flip the coin 100 times, 45% of the time you will lose. That will be annoying. But you know, based on the weighted coin, that it's going to land on heads 55 times out of 100. So 55 times you will be happy because you are getting odds at plus 100 or 50-50 outcome. You are profiting, right? You are getting a 5% edge every single time you place the bet. And that's positive expected value betting, right? You know, as the sports bettor, that it's going to hit 55% of the time. I know that. It's a weighted coin. But you're placing a bet with your buddy or the sports book, and he's only giving you odds of it hitting 50% of the time, which is plus 100. Again, that is positive expected value betting. You are essentially placing bets with knowledge greater than the sports books that your bet is going to hit at a higher rate than what the sports books are giving odds for that bet. So that's the concept behind it. Now you're probably going to ask, okay, but how do you know how often a bet is going to hit? Sure, you can learn that a coin is weighted. How can you determine what the true odds of a bet should be? That's a really good question, and that's exactly where OddsJam comes to play. So I'm first going to describe how the OddsJam system works and calculates the true odds of a market, and then I'll share my screen and kind of walk you through how the positive expected value page works. So when it comes to sports betting, FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, BetMGM, PointsBet, there's a ton of different sports books. All of these sports books kind of operate like financial markets, meaning supply and demand, buying and selling dictates price. Buying and selling or placing bets on overs or unders or underdogs or favorites or whatever dictates what the odds are. And all of these different sports books are going to have individual ways of pricing odds. So FanDuel's odds are going to be different from DraftKings, which are going to be different from Caesars, which are going to be different from BetMGM, right? All of these different sports books operate independently and therefore come to their odds independently as well. So once you can accept and understand that all sports books have different odds, the next step of that understanding is that some sports books are better than others at pricing odds. It's really as simple as that. Some sports books do a better job than others at pricing odds. Some of them are more accurate. Now, there are a bunch of different reasons for that. Majority, the reasons why is because the sports books that are sharper, they just accept more action. They accept quote unquote sharp action. Now, sharp just refers to a sports bettor or sports book that is quite simply just better than the average public at pricing odds or understanding odds. So there are some sports books like Pinnacle, like BetOnline, like Bookmaker that accept sharp action and have significantly higher limits than the rest of the other sports books. And because of that, their lines more accurately reflect what the market should truly be priced at. Basically saying Pinnacle, BetOnline, and Bookmaker are better than others at pricing odds. Now, they're not the only three. Those are just three examples. But that is how, essentially, we know as the sports bettor what the true line of a market should be. So essentially, and this is where we're getting to the nitty gritty and the true value of OddsJam. So what OddsJam did was they back tested thousands and thousands and thousands of historical betting opportunities, right? They went back a long sample size in terms of sports books and in terms of time period as well, gathering this huge sample size and use that data to determine, okay, what sports books are the sharpest, right? We've now learned that there are some sports books that are considered sharp, that are better than others at pricing odds. None of that information matters unless you know what sports books are the sharpest, right? You need to know that information. So what OddsJam did, as I said, was they back tested thousands and thousands of historical betting opportunities and let that data tell them what sports books are the sharpest. So they have this data, and let's pretend, okay, there are 5 sports books that are consistently better than others at pricing odds, consistently. Now, the cool part about this is there are some sports books that are better at different sports and different markets. So it's not the same, if we're going to go back to the example of 5, it's not the same 5 for every single opportunity. That's what's fascinating. Some sports books are better at pricing player props. Some are better at baseball. Some are better at football. OddsJam back tested these opportunities to determine which of these sports books are better at which of these different sports and markets. But as I said, OddsJam calculated all this data, and then what they did was collected it and said, okay, let's, again, back to the 5. Let's pretend there are 5 sports books that are consistently better than others at pricing odds, the sharp ones. What OddsJam did was remove the VIG from those sharp sports books. Now, the VIG is another betting concept that I actually explained on this YouTube channel. Essentially, all you need to know about the VIG is it's the tax, the juice, that sportsbook's price odds. So when you see standard odds of -110 on each side, that's sportsbooks charging 10 cents of juice to each side. So OddsJam removed the VIG from these sharp sportsbooks, but most importantly, using a weighted average. So again, if we're going back to the example of 5, if there are 5 sharp sportsbooks, they're not all going to be 20% of the average, right? Some of those 5 might be better. There might be 1, there might be 2. But regardless, OddsJam removes the VIG from these sharp sportsbooks using a weighted average, giving heavier weight to the sharp sportsbooks. So if we want to go back to the original definition, we're placing bets that we know as the sports bettor have a higher percent chance of occurring than the reflected odds of the sportsbook. And how we know what the true line of the true probability of a bet is from OddsJam and all of this testing that they did to determine the sharp sportsbooks, and then removes the VIG using a weighted average of those sharp sportsbooks. So essentially, OddsJam is telling you the true line of a market, and then on the positive EV page, which I'll get into in just a second, provides betting opportunities where we are getting better odds, where that second half of the positive EV definition is met. For example, the true line of a market is at -105. FanDuel is offering it at +100. That is a profitable betting opportunity because of the gap between the true line and the odds that we are betting. So that is how the process of positive expected value betting works. Now let me share my screen and I can actually walk you through the positive EV page on OddsJam. All right, so here is what the positive EV tool looks like on OddsJam. If you're not currently signed up, I definitely recommend doing so. Just go to oddsjam.com/subscribe. Can sign up for a free trial, 7 days, completely free. You can use the strategies talked about in this video. If you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me. But I do recommend signing up and starting to place bets using the EV tool and start profiting. But this is what the tool looks like. So the percent, and we're just going to go left to right. The percent that you see here, this is your percent of expected value. Now, there's a couple different ways to look at it. This can be viewed as your expected profit margin. So for every $100 bet on this individual play, you could figure to make $4.94. Can also be viewed as your percent edge that you hold over the sportsbook. All you really need to know is that the bigger the gap between the OddsJam true line and the line of the sportsbook that you are placing the bet at, the bigger this percent is going to be. Then recommended bet size is based on your bankroll that you can input into your settings on OddsJam. The date is obviously when the bet occurs. The event is the game itself. So this top one here is a hockey game, Canucks versus Blues. A little bit farther down, we see college basketball, Tennessee State versus UT Martin. And then we see another like NBA college basketball. The market is the actual market of the bet you're going to place. And then here's where we get to the good stuff, bets. This is the actual positive EV bet you are going to place. Now, the bet that you're going to place, because it gives you both sides, is the bet that is bolded and has the green highlight around it. This is a siren saying, hi, you should bet me. I am positive expected value. I am good. Bet me. The books is the actual sports book itself. You are going to place the bet at along with the odds, the no vig odds, and this is very important. This is the true line of the market. This is the number that is pulled from the weighted average from all of those sharp sports books that I just spoke about. So the no vig odds is the true line of the market, is where we get, if you want to go back to the definition of positive expected value betting, this is where we know the probability the bet is going to occur. It's these no vig odds here. Market width is essentially a way to measure the percent hold on a market. All you really need to know is that for a player prop, which this one is, I know it is because it says player, anything that is 40 and below is within range. And then for a game prop, which is pretty much any of these, anything that is 25 and below is good to go as well. But to be honest, I don't put a ton of emphasis on market width. But this is how the positive expected value page works. It literally just provides every single opportunity where you have an edge, right? And every single opportunity here, the no vig odds are more favorable to occur than the odds that we are betting. Every single one, right? Every single one. So when you're using the tool, you immediately want to identify the no vig odds and then the odds that you are going to place. But another very, very common question I get is, does that mean every single bet that shows up here on the positive EV page is good and that I should place? Yes, every single bet has a mathematical edge, but there's a little bit of additional research that I recommend doing to making sure that you're placing the best of the best. And right here is a perfect example of what I am talking about. And when I say there are additional things you should look for. So what you want to do is you want to click into the play, which I have done here, and you literally just hover over where it's highlighted blue. You click your mouse, and the odds where every other sportsbook is pricing this same exact play will show up, right? It's showing you where other sportsbooks are pricing odds for this same exact play, over under 69.5. Very nice. So what you want to do in situations such as this, you want to compare the odds of the bet you are placing and compare them to every other sportsbook that is pricing odds and identify whether the bet you are placing is a true outlier or not. In this case, the answer is a resounding yes. We are getting this college basketball play, first half total points over 69.5 at minus 110 odds. And look at every other sportsbook, right? We identify the bet we're placing over 69.5 minus 110 odds. Look at every other sportsbook and where they price this, right? Pinnacle, which is generally regarded as the sharpest sportsbook in the world. I mentioned this earlier. Pinnacle is a very sharp sportsbook, pricing this at minus 132. Bet Rivers, minus 122. SBK, which is a Colorado sportsbook, minus 135. PointsBet, minus 130. Every other sportsbook, at a minimum, has it 12 cents higher. So, yes, this is absolutely an outlier compared to every other book. Now, you're probably wondering, why does it matter if you're betting on an outlier or not? And there's a couple different ways to think about it. Number one, just think about it in terms of like financial stock market, like I referenced earlier. If every reputable stock exchange that you are looking at has Apple stock priced at $200 a share, you would probably say, okay, that's probably the accurate price for Apple stock. Well, let's pretend some exchange that you're looking at offers it to you at $150 per share. That would be a good stock to buy, right? The stock sources that you trust, the market equity sources that you trust, have it priced at $200 a share. You are getting it at $150. So that $150 on that exchange that you can get it at, you would assume will increase over time to be closer to the $200 for every other stock. It's the same thing with sports betting. Every single market of the sports books are telling you that this should be priced higher than what Bet365 is offering it at. And because we know sportsbooks have a different way of pricing odds, we know that Bet365 just has this one mispriced. They just have a mispriced line. They have it incorrectly priced based on how they have received money. And if you could take advantage of enough situations where we are getting a mispriced line, such as this, that is what will be profitable in the long run. No, every single bet you place is not going to hit. I wish it were the case. It's not. Unfortunately, variance is a very real part of sports betting. Why? Sports are unpredictable. If we could predict sports to the exact outcome, nobody would care. They wouldn't be fun to watch. Who cares if an upset happens, if everybody knows it's going to happen? If the favorites win every single time, then sports are no longer fun. So, yes, upsets are going to happen, but you want to give yourself enough of a sample size of betting on plays that have an edge, such as this one. And we like to say 250, closer to actually 500 in terms of bets that you should place with an edge. Well, you will see the results and not have variance work against you. And I literally do this process with every single bet that I place. It doesn't matter how good it looks. I click the button, I look into every single market, and I make sure that the bet that I'm placing is an outlier. If you can do that, I am confident that you will be profitable in the long run sports betting. And that's pretty much it. That's everything there is to know about positive expected value betting in sports. I've detailed what exactly positive EV is. I've detailed why it's a profitable betting venture in general. I've detailed how OddsJam can help provide positive expected value bets, and then the additional work that I recommend doing to make sure that you are placing the best of the best and hopefully reducing that variance. Now, you unfortunately are always going to have days where you are down, weeks where you are down. But as the screenshot I showed you earlier, I've been using OddsJam for about a year and a half. I've only had 3 months where I have been down. Every single other month, I have been up. Now, that I will take. It's frustrating in the moment, but you understand that that's just variance and that things will work out in the long run. Like I said, sports are unpredictable. And that's going to be it. So hopefully this video made sense. Like I mentioned, would appreciate it if you could like the video, comment, and subscribe. If you want to find me on social media, you can at Jedi Modi, and that's going to be it. So I appreciate everybody watching, and have a good one.